This is part 5 to wholesaling real estate for beginners, and in this video, we'll go over how to pick a title company to work with. So once you have a signed contract with the seller, you need to turn in the contract to a title company or to an attorney for attorney-based closing states. Now, there's tons of title companies out there, but not all of them are investor friendly. How you can find a title company is just start by Googling title companies in your area. Once you find 3 or 4 title companies, you want to ask them some questions. The main things you want to ask are, do you guys do assignments of contracts for wholesaling real estate? And how often do you do these? Do you do blind HUDs? A blind HUD is where the sellers can't see the buyer side of the transaction and the buyers can't see the seller side of the transaction. What this does is a buyer won't be able to see your assignment fee and how much you're making, but the seller still will do this. A lot of times this is good if you don't want a buyer to see how much more they're paying without having to do a double close. So seeing if a title company does blind HUDs can be important in the future. The next thing you want to ask is, how long does it normally take to get a title commitment back? Normally it should be around 2 weeks. If they're any longer than this, that's kind of a red flag. They're slow and they're just not going to work out for you long term, because time kills all deals. Ask them if they work with a lot of investors. If they work with a lot of investors, then there's a good chance that they know all the things you want to do in wholesaling and they'll be able to guide you and work with you pretty efficiently. Another thing you want to ask and just double check is, do they order surveys? So most title companies can order a survey and get quotes for you, but some of the smaller ones or more rural locations, they don't do that. And it's not the end of the world if they don't, but it's just more work on your end. You want to try to hire everything out that you can to the title company. Let them handle the transaction, because if you're scaling, you don't have time to order surveys for 5 or 6 different deals going on at the same time. Have the title company order the surveys and just put the price of that on the HUD. Another thing that should be common with all title companies is mobile notaries and mobile closings. They should be able to schedule a mobile notary to do the closing at a remote location. For example, if a seller lives out of state, they're not going to fly in just to sign closing documents on the house. You can make it easier for the seller by having the title company send out a mobile notary to wherever they are to sign the documents. Like I said, most title companies can do this, but I've come across some very smaller title companies in more rural areas where they haven't been able to do this. For example, I just recently wholesaled a deal in Searcy, Arkansas, and the title company in Searcy has never done a mobile closing. They don't know even where to look to schedule and order a mobile notary. We had to help the title company do that from our end, as we aren't in Arkansas, but we still needed to sign documents to close. The last thing you want to ask is if the title company can file a memorandum for you. So what a memorandum is essentially a document you file with the county government to protect your interest in the contract. This comes in handy when, say, a seller gets a higher offer and they want to back out of your contract and sell to someone else. Or if you're marketing the deal and an end buyer tries to be sleazy and cuts you out of the deal and goes behind your back to contact the seller, this memorandum protects your interest in the property so they can't do that to you and you still get paid. If this memorandum is filed, no other title company or attorney can close the deal without clearing your memorandum from the file for clear title. Now, some companies will do it for you, but some won't. This is more 50-50 because a lot of title companies see it as they're not being neutral anymore if they're filing a memorandum on your behalf. Their whole job is to be a neutral third-party coordinator of the transaction for a fair transaction. So if they're helping you file memorandums, it could be seen as they're leaning towards you more than the other party, which, could be an issue. However, some will still do it for you because it's document work, and filing legal documents for real estate with the county is what they do as a title company. So definitely ask if they do that. It's not the end of the world if they don't. You can file your own memorandums, but it goes back to the survey point. You want them to handle as much as the transaction as possible to take the load off your back so you can scale and do more deals. Seeing how they respond to those questions I mentioned above will give you a good indicator on whether or not they'll be a good title company for a wholesaling investor or any type of real estate investor. If they can do most of the things I mentioned above, they're probably worth a shot. You can try a deal or 2 with them. What I recommend is trying several different title companies with different deals and seeing the ones that you like to work with. Every title company has a different procedure, a different way of handling files, and the one that works the best with how you operate your business is the one you want to stick with and give your business to. For example, in one of my markets in Houston, I was with a title company for maybe 2 years, a large nationwide title company, and eventually eventually they became too slow and I wasn't getting the attention I needed for my deals. And I had to bounce around to 2 or 3 different title companies before I ended up at the one I'm with now that is perfect and works very efficiently and they treat me like a VIP. In between that time, I had a title company pull the title commitment for the wrong property. I sent a contract with the correct legal description and address, and they pulled the title commitment of the house next door. So once I saw that, that was a huge red flag. I stopped working with that title company. It was just that one deal. And even that deal, I didn't even finish it with that title company. I ended up going to another title company and reopening title on that same deal just because I couldn't trust that other company if they pulled the title work for the wrong house. And once again, speed is the name of the game. So you want a title company that can work with you and be able to get title commitments cleared in a timely manner. Normally, this will be your smaller title companies that aren't big nationwide chains. The reason for this is there's less red tape with these smaller title companies. The underwriters with the big title companies normally have such a big workload that they're always behind and they can't get to yours within a week or two. They have to go through all the other files that the title company has. If you have a smaller title company that handles less volume, their underwriters won't be as busy and they can turn around title commitments as quick as 1 week, sometimes even less. So therefore, I would try to find a smaller title company and building a good relationship with them. Another thing you want to look for is to see if they're bilingual. Depending on your market, this could be a huge deal. In Texas, there's a lot of Spanish speaking people. So if you have a title company that can speak fluent Spanish as well, this can help greatly when you need to explain things to a seller that only speaks Spanish in terms of complicated real estate jargon or legal terminology in a contract. It's not a necessity, it's not a requirement, but if your market has a dominant Spanish speaking or another language, try to find a title company that can speak that language as well, and it can make things smoother for the times you have sellers that speak that language. So now you have the basics to find a good real estate investor-friendly title company. Make sure you try a few, but make sure you finally pick one to do all your business with to build that relationship. Now, for the next step in the process, click on this video here where we'll go over how to find the end buyer to wholesale your real estate deals to.